And hello, movie lovers. And tonight I actually have a very special guest with me. I have Jamie from In the Front Row. I've missed her since we've done our panel for The Last of Us. It's good to have her back here. And so, with further ado, let's go on ahead. Let's get this party started. It's just going to be a laid back show tonight. I hope everybody winds up enjoying the show as much as Jamie and I have done this. So, let's do it. Hey, Jamie. How are you?
Hey, good. How are you?
I'm doing great. I'm doing really good, especially if you go to McDonald's and they give you compliments, and then after that you wind up telling them that. Then the guy says, "Be careful," and I'm actually the guy that winds up saying, "Yeah, you too," even though I'm like, "What the hell was I even thinking? Where was he gonna go? He's there, stuck there for 8 hours. Why am I telling him to be careful on driving?"
I mean,
Yeah.
It's relevant. He needs to be safe in the workplace. So I mean, what
True.
you said isn't wrong technically.
Right.
I mean, if he had have said enjoy your burger and you had have said yeah you too, that would have been a little bit.
Well, I've actually done this at a movie theater though too, where someone's like, "Enjoy the movie." I'm like, "Yeah, you too." I'm like, "What?"
Enjoy serving them tickets.
Exactly. And cleaning up my mess that everybody else has made and everything too. So yeah.
True.
But okay, so this is what I wanted to know was like this. I know that you're a big, huge Walking Dead fan and stuff like that, but here's the thing. I love The Walking Dead from the very first season right on towards whenever I stopped, basically I stopped watching it when Jeffrey Dean Morgan killed Glenn and stuff like that. But I really loved the whole entire dynamic of, he was like pretty much like the drunk uncle that would actually bring his nephew to work with him. Like Carl,
Yeah.
He's like, "Hey, Carl, look at all this. This could all be yours." He's like the drunk uncle that you would want to tell stories to. And that's why I really loved Jeffrey Dean Morgan as that character. I really thought he embodied him really well.
Yeah. Everybody always growls me because I have a really bad habit of like liking bad guys and always feeling some sort of empathy, I guess, towards these bad guys. But honestly, it depends on what side of the fence you sit on as to whether or not Negan was bad. Like he was Rick did bad things as well. And the thing that I love most about Jeffrey Dean Morgan's character is he does play that sort of bad guy, but also really likable. Like he's charismatic, he's sarcastic, he likes children. There's different sort of aspects to him where you're sort of like, oh,
what's up, Anthony?
Yes, yeah. Oh, hello. I don't have the comments showing up there. Oh, there we go. What's new?
Fire.
Not much. I was about to say not much. We're just having some fire, and I was like, that doesn't make any sense, you idiot.
Okay.
But yeah, he's great. Yeah, Negan was definitely. I can't believe you stopped watching then. I'm so disappointed that you keep telling me I'm going to go back and start from the beginning, and I'm like, you should. Like, don't let your ex or anybody stand in the way of, if you enjoyed something, enjoy it. You know what I mean? Like, don't let anything else or anyone else's opinion hold you back. So jump back in.
I am going to be jumping back in. And I was just, like Good. I said, it had everything to do with the fact that at that time I was with somebody and, once that relationship was gone, I was like, you know what? I'm not going to try and watch this anymore. It was just way too painful for me to watch at that time. But I had a lot of healing, of course. I'm married now and things like that. So, I'm actually not broken anymore like I was. So I'm going to go on ahead and I'm going to revisit everything that I used to love about the show and then watch the new episodes that I haven't seen. But exactly. Negan, here's the thing. You're talking about how you love the villains. And here's the thing. His whole entire motive was actually understandable because of the stuff that he went through with his wife having cancer and then him being in that dark place and then him having to be pulled out of it, even though he had to sit in a cell and basically have Rick's daughter try to show him some light along the way and make him realize, hey, look, what you're doing, douchebag, is not good. This is going to hurt us in the end and hurt you. So I definitely like how she was basically the voice of reason for Negan. I believe that, you can reason with the villains because of the fact sometimes they have great motivations behind what they're doing. And the person here's the thing. I always say this. The villains that have the right motivations are the most dangerous. The one who thinks that they're right. And that's what makes them the most dangerous out of them. You have Thanos, you have Killmonger, you have all these villains, and even Negan, of course. And when someone thinks that they're right, there's no stopping them.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. And I love the fact that Negan, his voice of reason was usually kids. Like Rick could tell him something, but if Carl said it, he'd listen. Like he just had so much more respect for the innocent kids. Yeah, I really like that. And as you said, yeah, their motivations are, I don't know. I guess I like to sit on both sides of the fence, which is probably wrong, but like I do. I look at Negan and I'm like, well, he did those things because, and he was trying to lead a pack just the same way as Rick was. Like I sort of see from both angles, I guess. I think the only real villain in that show that I was like, man, you are messed up was Alpha. Like she was just the one that I was like, no, girl, no. She was like different breed of evil, I think.
Yeah, there was no good in her at all.
No.
The last time I watched The Walking Dead was when Carol and her both had that face off against each other. When you had that scene where Alpha's down on the bottom of the cliff, and then you have Carol who's overlooking her, and then that's actually when I stopped watching. Was that around that time? So now that I'm backtracking in my mind, I remembered, and I'm like, oh, this is gonna be good. Then all of a sudden, I'm like, I don't remember. I didn't even go back to watch it. So I do need to go back and rewatch this because of the fact that I really enjoyed everything. But here's another thing I want to talk about too is Jeffrey Dean Morgan coming into The Boys makes me so excited to see what he's going to do within The Boys themselves because I love The Boys TV series to the point where I would actually you're talking about revisiting episodes. I revisited those episodes like 5 or 6 times because of how good they actually are.
Yeah. I just want to scream. When I found that news out, I was over the moon because it was like my two worlds colliding. You know what I'm saying? You got my Walking Dead crossing over with The Boys, and I was just so excited because he fits that world. He is, well, we've already seen from his character of Negan that he's sarcastic. He swears a lot. He's, throws out the bird, and he would fit that world so perfectly. And he's worked with Jensen Ackles before. He's worked with Eric Kripke on Supernatural. You know what I'm saying? So
right.
he will blend and fit in so good in that world. And and I can't wait to see it all come into action. I seen little clips of, not clips. I think it was just like, 2 seconds worth, but people were videoing them filming and stuff like that. So Jeffrey Dean Morgan's alongside Carl Urban, and I'm like, I was getting so excited. It's so good.
This is going to be an interesting pair to see them go up against each other. I'm hoping that Jeffrey Dean Morgan is playing like a douchebag, and therefore you have two of these people playing off against each other. I think it'll be a funny thing to actually see because I love Carl Urban as Billy the Butcher because he makes that role, and not only that, but the whole entire cast is just fantastic though too.
Yeah,
Frenchie's actually one of my other favorite characters in The Boys, and then I remember watching the first season of The Boys. And I'm thinking to myself, who am I rooting for? Because it opens up to A-Train going through the girlfriend, and then you see how snary the government actually is, and how much of a douche they are. Like I'm going to pay this person off, and then I'm like, you guys are the evil ones, and then they're making it look like that Billy and them are actually the bad guys when really they are the bad guys. In their own story. So I definitely like how it's different. You're not rooting for the superheroes. You're rooting for basically the anti-heroes.
Yeah. Yeah. The enemy of that is Vought. Like they are the corrupt company, and people like Homelander, people like Queen Maeve, people like A-Train, they are literally just like a marketing face. They are the brand pictures trying to sell to make money, really. And it's quite sad because everybody shits on Homelander, and I get it. Don't get me wrong. He is a bad motherfucker. But I love him for that reason. And also I really like his origin. Like he literally grew up in a lab. He doesn't have a family. He wants family. Again, it goes back to that, compassion and sort of empathy towards the bad guys. That's what I have, because especially in that third season, when he meets his technically real dad, biological dad, and he's just written off.
Right. Hey Taco, thank you so much for coming in for a few minutes just to say hi to us. Thank you so much, man. I can't wait to do a show with you next month. That's gonna be exciting. But I definitely
and maybe
see
the Walking Dead show if he jumps on the bandwagon with us. It's fine. But sorry.
No, it's okay. But yeah, I'm definitely excited about doing like a Walking Dead show, because I think this is a great way to actually get me more pumped up for Walking Dead again. So, I'm all for it. But, we do have a little bit of movie news and stuff like that I want to talk about too. We actually have some stuff from Daredevil that they actually showed us, some pictures, and basically just Matt just using his cane, and the cameraman's just pointing down at his cane. But some people are speculating that maybe during the blimp of what happened with Thanos and stuff like that, maybe that's why we don't have the Foggy in this series, and that's why we also don't have Karen in this series as well. And I think that having Karen in this TV series and Foggy would actually benefit the TV series and stuff like that, in my opinion, because I think I really love Karen. I really love Foggy. I thought the dynamic actually works. And it's called Born Again, which is also a graphic novel that I thought that would be closer to what we got for the graphic novel, but they're going off a different type of thing with it. But I'm just glad that we have Francis D'Onofrio in this TV series. And then, of course, John Bernthal's now joining, coming back. So I'm excited, but I'm also kind of nervous for John to come back. For the simple reason is this: I love how gritty it is. I'm glad how brutal it is. It doesn't fit in with the Disney family, and I'm wondering how they're going to play that off and stuff like that.
Yeah. I'm not too sure about bringing Punisher in for it, how that's going to go down, but I think that by not including Foggy and Karen is going to be good, because I mean, if they're going on the path that I feel like they are with the whole She-Hulk thing. People are saying it's back to the blip because there was a poster on the wall. But, I mean, that could be a flashback scene. We don't know. It could be anything. You know what I'm saying? But if they want to introduce – well, they've already introduced him technically, because he was introduced in Spider-Man No Way Home. Matt Murdock came in. And then he came in, obviously, in She-Hulk. So he's technically been introduced, same as Kingpin in – what was it? Hawkeye. So they've technically been introduced. But if they want to set him up – to have his own series. And this is a long series, John. This is 18 episodes. Like, that's a long series. So if they want to do that, I think it should be a fresh start. It's Born Again. We're starting again. I don't think it should be a continue on from the Netflix, from that Daredevil that we know. So I think not including those characters will be good for him to sort of establish his own, I guess, like
universe in a sense.
Yeah. As Matt Murdock as Daredevil. And if they're going to include that with She-Hulk, be them in a relationship or whatever route they're going down there, which I really hate, by the way, but whatever.
I do too.
Oh, God, please. Maybe it's just because I hate She-Hulk.
Here's the thing. I loved everything within the whole entire law thing whenever it became with She-Hulk and stuff like that. I also like the wedding stuff and things, but it was all the side stories and stuff like that I didn't like within She-Hulk.
I don't even know if you want to open this can of worms. I really don't. She's a lawyer, and we saw her do maybe one case, Abomination's case, I think it was.
Yeah, an Abomination case, and then there was like another case, I think.
No, she didn't do that. She palmed him off to freaking old mate Pug, and old mate, forget the girl's name, the really good-looking girl. Anyway, she palmed him off to them. I was like, you got Lawyer of the Year and you've taken on one case, and you got fired from your other lawyer job. What? I don't understand. And so much wrong with it. So much wrong. And then the end, I was really excited. I thought that was super creative, how she swung in like bloody Spider-Man into the, credit scene, the Netflix sort of logo. I don't know what you would call that. And I thought, oh my God, what a perfect way. She could swing into like the next project. Let's just say they put up Born Again, right? Mm-hmm. Just a picture of, Matt Murdock's logo. And then she could swing into that like, haha, that's the next project I'm coming into. No. we're going to go with she's going to swing into freaking Kevin's office and rewrite the entire
episode.
ending.
Right.
And it just makes me so mad because it's like, well, what else is going to be rewritten? Is she going to go into Born Again and at the very end we get this awesome epic season and then She-Hulk be like, well, you know what, Matt Murdock, I don't want you fighting Punisher. I want you fighting
Abomination
Shrek.
or something.
I don't know. Something stupid, like completely dumb. I like Shrek, so I'm not going to throw that out there because those worlds colliding would be cool. But honestly, I'm so mad with that series.
I'm going to be honest with you. That pulled me out of the show whenever they did the peek behind the curtain type of thing, even though she does that in her own comics. But it's one thing to do it in your own comics, but it's another thing to do it in the show itself, especially when you're invested in a TV series. And I did not like that ending. I think that ending was weak. I didn't like, even with the whole logo thing and stuff like that you mentioned with the whole Disney Plus streaming, that kind of pulled me out a little bit. But at the same time, I'm like, okay, I get it. I'm laughing a little bit. I'll ignore that part. Then once you get into the Kevin's office part, I'm like, okay, this is a little too much. Yep. And I'm like, yeah, I went from liking everything within the show, like with her just being her and not having any of the other side projects that happens within the show and side plots, to not even liking the show that much. And I wanted to like it. I have it on the bottom tier of Hawkeye, which I didn't really like Hawkeye that much either.
Okay.
But hey, it's
different
fine.
Opinions, different opinions.
Right. But still, I mean, I hear you out on the whole entire thing of the fact that she only had one case. I understand that and that's fair because of the fact she did basically just have one case. So I understand where you're coming from with that. And
it just ticked me off that whole entire series, it was like anti-men from the very start. She had no respect for Bruce. She had no respect for any of the men that she worked with at the office. She had no respect for just any man. Every guy in that series was painted to be this black sheep, this person who was out to get women. And it just made me so angry because it's like not all guys are like that. And I don't know, it was just so men are bad in every single episode and multiple times. It just made me feel uncomfortable as a woman. It was like, keep that separate. Like, you don't put politics and
well, even attacking. Even whenever you had, basically the hate group that people that were just hating it just to be hating it and putting it on from social media and putting it into your show. I'm okay with them doing like that bit for one time, but
hey girlfriend.
Yes. But yeah, I'm okay with them putting it into like every once in a while, but they put it in beat for beat on every single episode to the point where it's like, okay, this schnick does not work anymore. This whole entire, because I'm not laughing. I'm like, yeah, haha, okay, I get it. Every guy is a douchebag. Okay. But yeah, I didn't care for that. But as far as the Daredevil thing itself, I like the idea now that you mention it, where basically Matt can grow without having to have two other characters being next to him to make it feel like a Netflix show when it shouldn't be a Netflix show. It should be a Disney Plus show. So that way you can get the feel of basically Matt and Daredevil being different within this universe. So I understand what you're saying with that. So I think that's actually a neat way of actually looking at it because I wasn't looking at it from that direction. So I think that's actually pretty neat.
Like, they're in the MCU now. You know what I'm saying? They're not They're not in the sort of his own little. I mean, I know it was still Marvel, but this is different. Netflix it's not brand. A continue on,
right,
and a continuation or whatever you want to say,
right. And I liked even for instance, D'Onofrio's character is very different from the Kingpin that we knew in Netflix. The one in Netflix is very brutal, very violent. He smashed a guy's head into a sliding door van, and I'm like, and people are saying this needs to be in the MCU. Nah, this guy does not belong in the MCU. But they changed him up in Hawkeye because
I was gonna say he toned it down a lot in Hawkeye.
Yeah. So basically, that's the version that we're getting, which I'm okay with. But yeah, I'm excited for this new Daredevil TV series. 18 episodes is a lot of stuff to actually go through once a week, but at least it's not like 23 episodes to the point where I'm like, okay, another Daredevil episode. 18, okay, it's kind of doable. I can see how it's a little too much because we're used to Disney giving us like shorter episodes whenever it comes
I'm
down
not
to stuff.
complaining about the 18 at all. No, I'm
Right.
not complaining. I was just saying, like, that's a lot. You know what I mean?
Right.
That yeah, they're really setting him up for his own. And like, they can bring Foggy and that back later. You know what I mean? It's not like saying
Right.
that they're not in it at all. They could be.
They could always lump them in like later on or something if that's the case.
That's right. Yeah. Like the 18 episodes is a lot. You know, they can slot them in somewhere if they want
Right.
to.
But yeah, I'm just speaking from like other people who are like might be thinking, oh, 18 episodes is a lot. Not a lot compared to like network television, which you get 23 episodes and stuff like that. And that's why I refuse to do any kind of content whenever it comes down to network television, because that's a lot of episodes to digest, and there's no way I'm doing that. But I do want to talk about Mando a little bit as well, since we're on Disney Plus.
Sorry, did you say daddy or?
You can say daddy. I'm just going to say Mando. You can say daddy. I'll say Mando. So therefore, I'll be Daddy Mando.
As we talked about off air, I'm currently going through my Star Wars original trilogies, I guess you could say. Is that what they call them? The original 6?
Yeah, the original trilogy would be the original 6, which would be your the new stuff.
Yeah, so I've done. Well, I've done 4, 5, 6, 1.
Yeah, you're doing it. You're watching all the originals and then also doing the prequels. Yeah, you're doing your stuff.
Yeah, so I haven't touched Mandalorian yet.
No, but here's the thing that I love about Mando, though, is the fact that you have this relationship with. I always call him Baby Yoda, even though that's not even his name. Everybody's going to correct me, but I just thought the dynamic actually works. I think the writing is really good. Some people were talking about it in season 1. Why is Bobby from Sons of Anarchy have a New York accent in season 1 of Mandalorian? I said, well, there's different universes around the world. Who's to say that there's not somebody that's speaking in a New York accent in the planet that he's from? So you have different universes. You have different planets. What I like about the Star Wars series is the fact that you're not having to revisit the same planet over and over again, like in the original Star Wars movies. You're expanding your universe to where you can go to different planets, and we're learning different religions. We're learning different ways of how people do things, which I really find fascinating within this series itself. And this new season, I'm happy at the direction that they're going in, even though they're on episode 3. People were complaining about it because it was less Mando and more heavily focused on another character, which to me is something bigger brewing. I only binge watched the first 3 episodes of this season. I have to watch the 4th episode soon, but so far I'm enjoying it.
Yeah. Yeah, I heard a lot of hate about episode 3, that they took a different direction and not many people liked it. But hey, be bold enough to take a chance, I say. And isn't that, I don't know what it's setting up for, because I haven't, as I said, I've never watched Mandalorian, but isn't there like a new Star Wars movie coming out?
No, believe it or not, unless they're going to announce it over at D23 or something like that. There's nothing new coming out. Matter of fact, Kevin Feige's movie, Taika Waititi's movie got canceled.
Okay.
Over at got canceled. Then Kathleen Kennedy's movie got canceled.
Because wasn't the guy from Peaky Blinders the creator of that writing one?
I'm not sure about that one. I knew about Taika, and I knew about Kathleen Kennedy, and I knew about Kevin
maybe
Feige.
I'm wrong. I don't know that world anyway, but I thought I heard that, that guy from Peaky Blinders was writing one.
Huh. I didn't know about that.
Again, I could be wrong. Let me look. New Star Wars movie.
Okay, so yeah, okay, I see where. I see where you're saying, where it's coming from. Yeah, so basically, you have Easter weekend will be Star Wars in London. Okay, so basically, they're having their Star Wars celebration in London. For Star Wars Celebration 3-day convention, will no doubt 7 new projects announced. So yeah, potentially trailers for upcoming Disney Plus projects like Ahsoka, Skeleton Crew, and the I can't even say that word. The Acolyte or something like that. But yeah, Pinky Blinders signs up to write the Rise of Skywalker sequel. Okay, yeah, so you do have someone that's going to be doing that.
Okay. I mean, I don't care. I'm not going to watch it anyway, but I thought I heard that thrown around somewhere, and I was like, I swear it was Star Wars. But
Yeah, I just want to give context for people that weren't sure and are excited about something like that too, because I didn't hear about that. Then again, I haven't been near my movie news sources and stuff like that as much as I used to be. But yeah, there is a Pinky Blinders. One of the writers from Pinky Blinders is actually going to be writing a Star Wars sequel to the Rise of Skywalkers, which I wish they would go ahead and get away from the Skywalkers and start doing their own thing away from them. But I'm also don't like the idea of Taika Waititi directing a Star Wars movie.
People are really not on that train, are they? Poor Taika. I mean, Ragnarok was fantastic. Thor Ragnarok was fantastic. Love and Thunder. Oh my god, what a butcher. So I think, the fact that he did though, I just feel really sad for him, because I feel like that Love and Thunder really just put a damper on everyone's expectations for what could have happened with Star Wars. They're like, no, it's going to be funny. It's going to be, like he's going to take the humor way too far. And I just feel really sad for him.
I do too, to be honest with you. But the reason why Thor Ragnarok works is because the fact he didn't write that movie. Somebody else wrote it. He only directed it. So this was heavily a Taika Waititi movie for Thor Love and Thunder. So if somebody else would have wrote the script, I think it would have actually improved a lot better. And I think it would have resonated better with the film fans and Marvel fans. But since it's more of a Taika Waititi movie, it felt like an SNL skit versus it being a Thor Love and Thunder movie. But yeah, that's just my perspective on it. I just didn't care for Thor Love and Thunder. I love him as a director. I love his humor. But when it comes down to Thor Love and Thunder, not so much.
Yeah.
So now we actually have David F. Sandberg. DC left money on the table and not doing a Black Adam versus Shazam movie.
Yeah. I'm so biased here because I loved Black Adam. I really thought The Rock was going to be Marvel's version of Robert Downey Jr., where he just kicks off this franchise and, he's a likable face that can carry this franchise through the next 10 years, however long it may take. But then having them, let's just say, I'm going to put it bluntly, firing them, that really, it put a damper on things, because myself, I was like, well, why would I want to go and watch Shazam? If Shazam isn't going to link into these future DC projects that we're going to be watching, why would I want to watch it? And how are they going to link in the fact that Superman was in the end credit scene of Shazam 1, and then suddenly we're going, hold on a minute, I've just fired Superman. Like, we don't actually have well, maybe they do have one, but we're going to cast a young Superman and go down that route of having an origin story with Superman again. So how does that link in with Shazam? And there was just so much going on. I was one of those people, I'm not going to lie, that was really grumpy about the fact that I know it's not James Gunn's fault. I know this was well before, all of this marketing stuff happened well before James Gunn took over. But I was mad because I was like, we've got Superman, and I want that sort of Man of Steel movie. I don't need that origin story again. I got it. Been there, done that. I don't want the Smallville stuff. Smallville stuff's great. Don't get me wrong, but I don't want it. I want this action-packed thing. And then again, introducing Black Adam into all that, I was like, yes, we're going to get these adults, these powerful men fighting. This a really good action movie is what I wanted. And then, I got it with Black Adam, but I wanted to see that carry on, to cross over with Shazam, to cross over with Superman. I wanted these characters that we are already familiar with. Well, to be fair, we weren't really familiar with Black Adam, but I wanted them to cross over and have this big battle,
basically. Right.
Pretty much. And then they just say, no, we're going to start again. We're going to restart I put like this, the franchise. And it's a little bit confusing to me, but I get it. I know why they're doing it and I understand. But at the time I was like, I was so frustrated. And I just don't understand why you'd have someone so influential as The Rock You know what I like, Tammy? Powerful men. So yeah, I don't understand why you'd have someone as influential and likable as The Rock use him for a movie and they'd be like, oh yeah, we're going to call it quits there. It doesn't make any sense to me, especially when he's got so much money. He has so much power to plug DC. You know, he has so much influence over people. Why not use that? I just don't
Right.
understand.
Well, for me, I thought the story of Black Adam was good. Not, I enjoyed the story, but when you look underneath the surface as far as performance goes, when you look underneath the whole entire thing of The Rock, it was just The Rock in a Black Adam outfit being The Rock, and and I get that some people are go and pay money for that. And I understand that, and I actually went. Well, I didn't see it until HBO Max dropped it, but I was excited to see Black Adam, to see what they were going to do with Black Adam, because this is actually The Rock's passion project. This is something that he's been attached to since 2010
That's what I'm
or
saying.
even longer.
Yeah.
And I understand, and like you said, it's hard for us as film fans, comic book fans as well, to separate ourselves from the business side of things, because we forget sometimes too, this is a business, and we're so drawn into our own movies and stuff like that, to the point where we forget, oh, this is a business. And because it's a business, some ends have to be cut. And unfortunately, it was actually The Rock and all the original cast members and stuff like that. But I would love to have seen that one last battle between Superman and Black Adam, because it was teased. But I understand too how people have actually feel though too, where they're like, well, why should I go out and support a movie that's not tied into anything anymore? And I'm like, well, number one, I think it's good to support comic book movies, because if you stop altogether, comic book movies are going to fail. That genre is going to be gone, and then therefore Hollywood has to go ahead and look for something else rather than pulling from Marvel and stuff. Because think of it like this: they've invested over $1 billion with Marvel stuff, so therefore they'll lose money with that if comic book movies fails. DC is still trying to gain its momentum and stuff like that. But if we as viewers go and see a movie and it's not tied up to a new universe and stuff, it's gonna fail. And when it fails, that's whenever they're gonna start pulling plugs on every single thing that we love. And I think that it's a bit that we need to keep supporting it, no matter how different that we actually feel about it, and support the comic book movies itself. Otherwise, we're gonna lose it. That's just me speculating on that, but that's actually how I feel. And don't forget,
just to clarify, I did go out and support it, even though I was butthurt. I still went out and watched Shazam in theaters. So yeah, I definitely am still going to support it. And the thing with the superhero movies is there's that fear of missing out. Graphic novels have taken over from comic books. Well, that's the case with primary schools in Australia. Yeah, well, that's good. There actually is quite a few books that are being turned into movies here. Anyway, I can't remember. Anyway, I'll talk to her about it later. But sorry.
I didn't know. Here's the thing. I didn't know I didn't know what your thoughts was on the new Shazam movie or anything like that either, because I heard it was good, but it's not like, wow, I need to go out to the theaters and go and see this movie, even though it's like probably one dimensional. There's not really a lot happening in it.
Dude, I'm of the opposite opinion of everybody else. Like, I expected to hate it, and I was like, oh, I'm so angry that, we're not going to get Superman in it, and no, all this. And I really was like, why do I'm going to watch it? Because the fear of missing out. I don't want to watch a movie and be like, oh, well, how does that link in? Even if it doesn't link in, how did they solve this? Or how did Superman and whatever? And in this, it gets answered. Like, they address those things that I was going, well, how are they going to link that up? And why did he do that? And where's Superman fit into all this? And I was one of these people that was hating on it, and they targeted everything that I wanted. And I enjoyed Shazam 2 more than I enjoyed Shazam 1. So definitely, like, sometimes you just got to look at things with like an open mind, just go in and be like, okay, what I get is what I get. I'm not going to be upset. And that's how I went into this. I expected like, oh, well, I'll just watch it. And I really enjoyed it. I loved a lot of things about it. The creatures were incredible. Some of the I wouldn't call them villains because the villains were, the daughters of Atlas, but some of the creatures that they brought from their world into Earth were the scariest things that I've seen in a very long time in a superhero movie. So I like seeing that. Not that I like seeing scary stuff, but it was good to have things that were a little bit darker because Marvel seemed to go down that not so dark route. Their villains are usually, I don't want to say cartoonish, but threatening, but to look at, not very scary. But these ones I thought were, pretty terrifying.
Okay.
And
I'm gonna have to check it out because that's on my do
definitely
list.
on the big screen. I know people say wait till it goes to streaming, but the experience of seeing something on, in the cinemas is, it's so different. It's so much better. The sound, the visuals, everything, the atmosphere, it all. Yeah, I recommend seeing it in cinemas.
Let's see. Wow, because you weren't sure about the second Shazam. Hey, good to know, as I liked the first one. So it sounds like I like the second one more. Okay, our busy Aussie family. Okay.
I'm not saying it's perfect. There's a lot of flaws with it. Don't get me wrong, but I enjoyed it more than the first one for sure. Yeah.
Okay. But going back
again,
on
back to the Black Adam thing. Like, we only got that one movie with him, right? And I would have wanted to see, like, a lot of my friends are like, oh, Black Adam is the same as Shazam, like comparing the two because they both say the same thing. They both have lightning. They both get struck, blah, blah, blah. But there's so much like lore to them, like so much differences. And I feel like Shazam's got that opportunity to explore that, which they kind of did in this movie. You go back to the wizard and you find out, their history, things like that. And with Black Adam, we got a little bit of the history as to why he was buried for so long. But, we don't know the difference. Well, I do because I care. But normal people on screen wouldn't watch it and go, oh, well, why does Black Adam say Shazam and why does Shazam say Shazam? And that they're from two different, I guess you could say, gods. Like Shazam, for example, is with the like Roman gods, whereas Black Adam is the Egyptian side of things. Like, none of that ever gets explored, and none of that will now because we don't get a Black Adam now. And same with the younger kids. I forget what they were called, like I don't want to say the Justice League, but the
Young Justice
Association, was it? The kids in Black Adam.
Oh, I know the kids that you're talking about. I can't remember
Cyclone
on hand.
And
Oh, okay. Are you talking about like Pierce Brosnan's characters or no? Yeah.
I thought they were going to introduce that society, and from that they could be doing what Marvel are doing, where you introduce this Justice Association and you get these spin-off like series, not just the big blockbuster movies. And again, that just all gets thrown out the door because you let The Rock walk.
Well, not only that, but I also wanted Pierce Brosnan's character, since he was Dr. Fate, he just got first introduced, and then what do? You kill him off.
It just doesn't make any sense, hey?
No, that does not make any sense, because this is an unknown character. Because it's an unknown character, you need to let that character marinate and let it go ahead and build before you kill that character off. Even whenever you go ahead and sacrifice himself, I'm like, okay, he sacrificed himself. What do we do? Didn't really feel any type of emotional attachment as if I would if I actually had that build up to Dr. Fate.
Yeah, I still cried, but yeah. I still cried when he died.
I guess I'm an asshole, but just kidding. But I didn't really feel any emotional attachment to the character as if I would if it was like a slow build to get to that point. And I really wish I would have actually felt something, but I didn't. But going off the narrative of what you said with Superman, with it being an origin story and stuff like that, I don't think James will actually do another origin story, even though he's casting someone that's younger, because we don't know what we're getting just yet when it comes down to Superman. Yeah, they're rebooting it, but we don't know underneath the surface of it all what we're going to be getting. So maybe they might do like a Guardians of the Galaxy type of thing where he just mentions something that happened in his childhood, and that's the end of it, and then we focus on here and now. Maybe. But I think that rebooting it and doing like an origin story, I'm like, okay, I can only see so many times that Pod Kent dies. I get it. He dies of a heart attack. Or a tornado swallows him up in the Man of Steel movie and stuff like that. So I can only watch Pod Kent die so many times. Same thing with Spider-Man's grandparents that died over and over again.
How many times has Uncle Ben died? Bloody hell.
I can see Uncle Ben. Well, fuck. Another Spider-Man movie.
Again.
Right.
True.
But yeah, that's just my thought process whenever, and like you said, when going into a movie too, we're pretty much get or by the new because we're the ones who follows this news. The average moviegoer is not going to know all of this or anything like that. But because we're so attached to it, it's hard for us to detach ourselves when we go to a movie. And sometimes you just have to let it marinate and say, okay, like you said, like you did, Jamie, where basically you say, this is what you're giving me. So I'm going to take what you give me and go with it. Rather than just sitting and sulking in the seat. Well, this is just gonna suck, like but it's just us as people who follow this news, who pays attention to everything. It means so much more to us because we know what's going on, and it's hard to detach ourselves sometimes because of the fact that we know this. Versus people who are just average moviegoers is like, okay, just give me what you give me, and I'll be happy with it. Or I may not like the story, but there's always a next time. But oh wait, you mean to tell me that Superman got recast? What's up with that? What's going on with that? I didn't know that. There is no next time. What? So when we fill in the gaps on that, like then next thing you know, they're trying to get information out of us.
Yeah. And sorry, I just had a brain moment. I'm sitting here and I'm like, yeah. I don't know. I can't remember what god that I said Shazam's gods were, but it was Greek. That's what I was supposed to say. I'm sitting here like, I don't know what god I just named, but my brain just ticked over and went, Greek, you dickhead. Yeah, you know your stuff, but here I am. I probably listed like Barbie or something. I don't know what I said.
Don't feel bad. I did a movie trivia on my show, and I forgot the answer because of the fact that I had an answer right away. So yeah, when you're doing shows and stuff like that, sometimes you forget about certain things because it's like, oh shit, I know this, but it's like doing a test at school all over again.
Yeah, and I don't do well with tests. Not that this is a test, but just my brain's all over the shop. So yeah, I'm sitting here like thinking about too many different things clearly, and yeah, Greek gods were not at the top of my not at the front of my brain. Anyway.
But okay, I know that you're not like the biggest horror fan or anything like that, but
I was like, as soon as you said horror stuff, I was like, John, maybe get someone else. Like, I'm not going to be good. I'm not good.
No, you don't have to be good or anything like that. I like actually bringing something new to the table that maybe like, okay, well, maybe I might check this out maybe if I want to, but I don't have to check this out if I don't want to kind of thing. So this is just my way of actually bringing it out to the forefront because of the fact that I like introducing people to new films and giving my thoughts on it and then having a conversation, have that water cooler conversation about it. But the Alfred Hitchcock movie is actually getting a remake. And that remake is called Vertigo, and Robert Downey Jr. is playing in that movie Vertigo. And back in the black and white Alfred Hitchcock movies and everything, that was actually supposed to be the most horrifying movie that you ever seen because it's dealing with heights. You're dealing with that whole entire thing of dizziness and things like that. Now, it's been a long time since I've seen the Alfred Hitchcock movie, but having Robert Downey Jr. in this one, I think I'm sold on it because of the fact Robert needs a home run. And ever since he was been Iron Man, he hasn't really had a home run since then.
Yeah, he did Doolittle in 2020, and I think that's the last thing. I mean, he's going to be in Oppenheimer. Is that how you pronounce that man's name?
Oppenheimer. Yep.
Oppenheimer. Yeah. He's going to be in that. And there was something else I think he was starring in, but it's only like this would be his big role, the one that you're talking about. So you watched the 58 one, did you?
Yeah.
And wow. Look at you go.
I'm old school. As a matter of fact, I actually reviewed on the channel a 1930s gangster movie.
True.
So I did that. Did that a couple of years ago with Tamika, doing that review. And I love old classic movies though too, like Abbott and Costello. I love those movies. Three Stooges. The list just goes on with black and white films because I grew up. My mom introduced me to Alfred Hitchcock. She also introduced me into like the old black and white classic Frankenstein movies and things like that. So I really am appreciative of the fact that I was actually introduced to like old school horror movies and stuff. So that's where I get all that horror flavor from.
Nice. So after watching the 58 one, I think it was 58, 56, anyway, in the 50s.
58.
Yeah. So do you think like after watching that's something that should be remade? Like the premise just seemed a little bit boring to me. Is it, or was it fine? Or was it good?
it's the premise is actually pretty interesting because it actually follows a detective who's dealing with heights, who's dealing with fear of the of heights and stuff. So he's basically winds up following a number of he ends up following his wife, who is basically just basically investigating stuff. He's a detective, and I think that it's an interesting spin to actually have Robert Downey to hopefully play the detective role. So I'm thinking that him being quick on his feet, being a detective, is more fitting for him, and him having to deal with the vertigo, having to deal with heights, having him to deal with all this stuff rolled into this one movie. I think that this could be a slam dunk for him if the writing is actually good, even though the remake to Psycho sucked with Vince Vaughn in it. But yeah, it could be a slam dunk for him.
I haven't watched the original, so I can't really have an opinion, but I just hope that he does well, because I love Robert Downey Jr. I think he's accomplished a lot in his life, and I think he's changed his life for the better, and I'm really proud of that. So yeah, I wish him all the best, but I don't know. It just doesn't really seem like something that I'd probably watch, but yeah.
Right. Our busy Aussie family. I had a severe case of vertigo a couple of weeks ago. Came out of the blue. Now that was scary, seeing my desk suddenly tilt 45 degrees angle, so I won't be watching that remake. I don't blame you. If I was trying to recover from vertigo, and I'm not going to go see a movie about vertigo when I have vertigo. Talk about meta.
But I think it's like it'll probably go off, because they had that movie Fall recently, and that people seem to like that. Would you call that horror? Was it like thriller? I didn't ever watch it.
It's more like thriller. It's more like thriller than horror. Like, there's even this movie called Frozen, and I'm not talking about the Disney movie Frozen.
I know that one very well. Nah, jokes.
Right. But Frozen was basically about these teens who go to a ski resort, and they get locked into a ski resort while they're on the lift that's taking them. And so they're trying to figure out how to survive on the ski lift until the park opens up again. And that movie is suspenseful, thrilling, and everything that you want in a survival type thing. Okay. Who's doing the remake? Let me see. I know Robert is attached to it.
Paramount Pictures are doing it.
Yep. But as far as director goes, I'm not sure if there's a director attached to it yet. But as of right now, the Pinky Blinders creator, Stephen Knight, is also being the writer for it, I believe.
That's probably the same guy that I'm thinking. Yep. Maybe I was not thinking about Star Wars. Maybe
I was thinking right. He's doing Star Wars too.
Okay, so, I was gonna say I knew something linked up with Pinky Blinders there. Okay, good. Yep. Oh, great.
But yeah, he's also written The Girl in the Spider's Web in 2021 Spencer as well. So he's done some great creative work, if you think about it. But this is me being a little bit nerdy when it comes down to certain things, though, too, because I want to talk about this. So I know that you don't read comic books that much or anything like that, but I love introducing people into opening their eyes to reading comics, because I've actually gotten a couple of my friends that were like, I'm not reading a comic book. I don't want to. I'm like, trust me, you're going to want to read what I'm reading because it's phenomenal. But what I would like to see, and I think that they are doing this, but Berserker, Keanu Reeves, this is actually his comic book that he wrote, and I think they're actually making a TV series out of this. And if they are, I'm watching every single one of these. But this is actually hands down my favorite graphic novel, my favorite comic to actually read. I need to read volume 2, but this is a great book. Then I also have another one that I'm actually formally reading, and this is hands down the artwork. All these comics come from Boom Studios, and Boom Studios does a phenomenal job when it comes down to their artwork and things like that. And I love what they're doing over at Boom Studios. And yeah, let's see. Matter of fact, they actually have the name of the book that I'm talking about that I was holding up is called The Vicious Circle. And basically it's a time travel type of book where you're traveling into different places to try and kill a serial killer in a different universe. So
Yeah,
it's
that's so
unique
cool.
in its own. Yeah.
And did you
So
say that they're turning that into a series or a movie, or you want them to? Is what you're saying?
I want them to turn this into a series, which is Vicious Circle.
Okay.
Even though this just came out last month, I'm waiting on
What?
issue 2 to come out, and they've been. I'm going to be honest with you. They take their time with their comics. I'm actually going outside the realm of DC and Marvel and starting to pick up stuff from Boom Comics. And Boom is a little bit more pricier, but they're paying top dollar when it comes down to their artwork, their collections, and things like that. I strongly recommend checking out Boom Comics. If you're like, oh, Marvel is just doing the same old shit over and over again. I'm tired of reading about stuff. You can only do so much stuff with Spider-Man. You can only do so much stuff with the Punisher or whatever. Check out Boom because they actually use their imaginations with stuff, and they think outside of the realms. So we're gonna finish off too as far as our anticipated movies for April. I'm gonna let you take the floor for that one, Jamie. Ladies first.
Thank you. I did get an early screener for Air, but I turned it down. But I probably will still watch it because I had a really good cast. But yeah, I'm not very big on basketball or shoes, so I'm like, meh. But I really am looking forward to Renfield. So the Dracula remake with Nicolas Cage. I'm really excited for that. I might be a little bit biased because one of the girls that I interviewed she was on Stranger Things. She is actually going to be in that movie as well. So she hyped me up for a little bit of that with some of the scenes that she's in. And yeah, I just think it's super cool that, she got to experience something like working with Stranger Things, these young cast like Millie Bobby Brown, to then working with an icon like Nicolas Cage is like, what? Nicholas Holt, I just think it's so cool. So I'm really excited for that one. And of course, Mario Brothers.
Right. I'm excited for Renfield, to be honest with you. I was like, well, Nicolas Cage needs to come back. And I've actually interviewed somebody that worked for Nicolas Cage.
Oh, cool.
And he said, forget about him trying to go for that Oscar and forget about him doing whatever he did back in the early 90s to 2000s. He said he's not after that anymore. What he's after is just making movies for the sake of making movies that makes him happy.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I'm all for that. I'm all for that. I love Willy Wonderland. That was actually one of my favorite horror movies that he's done, which is totally wacky. He doesn't say anything through the whole entire movie. He plays a character called the janitor. And basically what winds up happening is this. It's like a horror Chuck E. Cheese where these animatronics come back to life. And Nicolas Cage has to clean up this place in order for him to get his car back because his car breaks down. And, his car breaks down because the townspeople winds up taking a spike strip and flattening his tires. So they said, look, if you go ahead and fix up Willy's Wonderland and spend the night there fixing it up, we'll fix your car for you. So anyways, he doesn't say a single word. You actually have these kids that tries to breaks into the Willy's Wonderland, and these animatronics are coming to life, and you have Nicolas Cage going ham on animatronics.
Cool.
But Renfield seems such like an entertaining movie in that aspect where I'm like, I have to see this movie just because Nicolas Cage is a vampire. I have to see it, and I love the trailer. I did a trailer reaction for it. I enjoy that trailer so much.
Same,
and I think it's going to be a fantastic film. Now, I am excited for Ear because of the fact that I'm a huge Michael Jordan fan. And it's dealing with stuff within the 90s and things like that. And of course, you have Ben Affleck in this movie. It has a good star cast. So therefore, I'm sold on it. And I think it's going to be an interesting one. But yeah, I'm excited for Ear.
Yeah. Oh, cool.
What about you, though? What's your next? Do you have any more? Or?
Renfield and Mario, to be honest with you. They're the main two that I'm excited about for that month anyway. Is that what you're talking about? Just April?
Yeah, just April.
Yeah, that's what I'm excited about, April.
Okay, so I'm going to go with another one that I'm actually excited for, and that movie is Paint with Owen Wilson.
Oh, yeah.
And he has and I love this. I love the afro. I love what he's doing.
I was about to say the fro looks funny.
And, I love Bob Ross, and that's exactly what it is. It's basically a spoof of Bob Ross, and they're just renaming it because they can't have the rights to Bob Ross or anything like that either because of the whole entire deal with the corruption that's within his brand because of people who have control over it. And if you haven't seen the documentary on Bob Ross, I totally recommend that on Netflix. But I've watched that during the pandemic. I was in a documentary mood during that time. But I'm definitely excited to see what Owen Wilson does with it. I think it's going to be hilarious to see him as like this Bob Ross kind of character who likes to paint. So I think it's going to be pretty good. Rocklaw says, "Oh, that's neat to hear that on Cage." Most definitely, man. Most definitely. Then our busy Aussie family said he'll be a great vampire. Talking about Nicolas Cage.
Yeah, love
His
vampires.
can't wait for Mario Brothers to come out next week. And I just want to point this out. I think doing a Super Mario Brothers animated movie is actually makes sense versus doing live action adaptations, because you can do a lot more with animation than you can do with live action when it comes down to Super Mario Brothers. Unless you, of course, you have Pedro Pascal doing an SNL skit and doing Super Mario Brothers, then then I'm sold. But if you look at the animated worlds and the stuff like that, I think that it fits in with Super Mario Brothers versus doing a live action one, because there's so much you can do with that.
Yeah, I agree. And I mean, just look at the trailer. It looks fantastic.
But
it does. It looks so beautiful. Yeah, I can't wait. Not so hyped about Chris Pratt, but I'm very hyped about the animation. It looks good.
But yeah, and then Rocklaw says Bob Ross would be But Owen Wilson's also going to be in the Haunted Mansion remake that's coming out on Disney Plus, I believe. So I'm excited for that too, but I just don't know when that's going to be coming out. But that's everything I had wanted actually for us to talk about. But I really enjoyed doing this water cooler type conversation with you, because I'm like, you know what? I just want to have fun. I just want to have a one-on-one with you, just to have fun, just to talk about movies, talk about comic books, talk about just different things in general.
Yeah, well, thanks for having me on. Sorry, I couldn't talk about comic books. You're probably best sticking with Taco for that one, and then horror probably sticking with Matt. But hey, I can talk about The Boys and I can talk about The Walking Dead any day.
But yeah, do you have anything coming out as far as content goes for your channel or anything like that?
I'm covering a series at the moment called School Spirits. So it's about, it's got Peyton List, which you would appreciate from Cobra Kai. She is a ghost in the afterlife, and it's basically this whodunit series discovering how she died and who murdered her, because she was murdered. So it's a really cool series. It's very teenage, I would say. It's classed as young adult, but it is very, very kid. The audience is definitely targeted for teenagers, I would say. But I really enjoy that sort of stuff. So I'm covering that at the moment. And then I still have to do a review for Shazam 2. And I'm going to be doing, I think it's April, actually, now that you mention what's coming out. I know it's not a movie, but the series that you did a trailer reaction for, Beef.
Yeah, Beef.
I'm keen on covering that as well. So I'm going to watch that, and I'm doing School Spirits, and I think that's it at the moment.
Okay.
I started watching Superman and Lois, and I started watching Succession, but I'm like, I don't know if I'm going to do anything on the channel related to that, because I'm really far behind, but I'm enjoying watching them as well.
Okay. But here's the thing with me, though. I'm like, oh, I need to do this for the podcast, or I need to do this for the YouTube channel. I was like, you know what? I'm just going to let some things be for me. And, if people want to go on ahead and just watch it for themselves, that's cool. I'm cool with that. I don't have to do everything. Otherwise, I'd be total overload,
For sure. Yeah.
Let's see here. Yeah, with your review that you've been doing on the series, I really want to watch it.
It's cool. I think she'd like it. Yeah.
But no, I just got done watching You. It's the 4th season. And I did not like it. I thought it was just all over the place. I did not like that whole entire murder mystery element to it. I didn't like the fact that they gave him a split personality in this series. And I'm like, when I said it'd be different if they introduced him with a split personality from season 1, but all of a sudden it's like, now he has a split personality. I'm like, what? I'm like, nah. But they did renew it for one more season. So after the 5th season, that's going to be the end of You. Then let's see. I ended up watching Manifest, binging all of that with my wife. some of it is good. Some of it feels like a Lifetime television for women type thing with the dialogue. And the way that, I mean, this is just this over top dialogue that I didn't like. Okay, let's say, for instance, I disappear for a year, right? Or 3 years. Okay, you marry somebody else. I come back. We have a conflict. We have a beef because you're with my wife and everything. So all of a sudden, my kid goes missing. My wife, who we're back together now, and then has an ex-boyfriend she needs to go ahead and borrow the truck. She goes, oh wait, I know someone who has a truck. It's Bob. And just, you know what? Do you think Bob will let us borrow his truck? Yeah, I think he will. Next scene, they're looking for his son in the truck. I'm like, what? I was like, so he's just gonna say, yeah, I understand your situation, hon. I'll borrow my truck. I'm like, okay.
You've met guys before though, right? guys are very easy to give in.
Some are.
I could definitely, yeah, anyway. All right.
Listen, last night on Netflix, Jamie already knows, I watched the movie School of to Good and Evil, and so close to the books that they're enjoying. There are another one, a year or 3 years.
Is that how long it took? 3 years?
I guess. But okay, so what I'm going to be doing is I'm going to be interviewing a director tomorrow morning, 10:30 Central Time, 11:30 Eastern Time. His name is Paul Ratchet. He actually did a horror movie for a movie called The Gallery. It is only available on basically what's that video game site that you can actually stream movies on, video games on? I forgot. But yeah, you can only get it over there or through the PlayStation and stuff like that right now, because it's only like a limited release. But it's a very interactive movie where you can choose different things that happens, I think, to the characters. So it's very interesting on how he does that. Not Twitch. What's up, everyone? Hey, how you doing, Luke?
Hey, thanks for stopping in. Yeah, I'm not quite sure what that platform is, but I just had a little chuckle to myself because when you said his name, I thought you were saying Paul Rudd. I was like, huh? You got the Ant-Man? Say what?
But no, I have Paul Ratchet coming on, talking about The Gallery. The Gallery, I saw the trailer for The Gallery. It looks fantastic. I haven't had a chance to check it out yet because I've just been so busy. But the concept of the fact that you get to choose and be interactive with the character is very interesting to me. Had to swing by and show some love, some of my favorite people. Thank you so much, Luke. I do appreciate that.
Still got to check out their Shazam 2 talk, but yeah. The Gallery sounds great.
Yeah. And then I also have the John Wick Chapter 4 review that I'm doing with Vengeance. But we had to reschedule that for Monday because I have some stuff that's going on after my show for tomorrow morning. So that's going to be pushed back to Monday. So letting everybody know. But I do have plenty of other stuff that I'm going to be trying to do. I'm going to do some more trailer reactions and things like that. Rossie and I are going to probably do a Sandman review coming up soon. We're also doing The Incredible Shrinking Woman for the audio-only podcast. But yeah, that's everything that we're doing here at Movie Lovers Unite. But I appreciate everyone inside the group chat. I do appreciate you guys for talking with us, chatting with us. Thank you so much for keeping it fire, as Anthony would say, because it was totally fire and dope.
I love how he says it. It's so funny.
It is. I love Anthony to death, though. He's a good friend of mine. I'm glad that we got a chance to do The Last of Us review. As a matter of fact, all those episodes are actually on the audio podcast and also on the YouTube channel as well for you guys to check out. And we also have a merch store. So go ahead, get yourself some clothing and stuff like that in the comments below. And always until next time, guys. Bye-bye.